Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another special edition of Labor Matters right here on KBN TV. We are on channel 279 DSTV, 102 Topside Decoder, and 27 on Go TV. You can also watch us live on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV. I am your host, Patricia Chinamiko, and I'm excited. Today we are looking at an important yet exciting topic, and I'm looking forward to have a great conversation with you, our viewers. So today we're looking at annual industrial breaks. That is what we are looking at today. So if we start talking about this topic, and if you get to have any questions, comments, or contributions, please do go on our Facebook page and drop us a comment, or better use the number which is right on your TV screen. And if you are wondering, Patricia is just talking. Is she alone in the studio? No, I'm not alone in the studio. I am with Mr. Kabanda. Good afternoon, Mr. Kabanda.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to have you back on your show, Labor
I'm glad
Matters.
to be here.
Amazing. And if you've just joined us today and you're wondering who Mr. Kabanda is, Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda is an employment expert and a neuropsychologist. He has over 15 years experience in HR management and consultancy. So if you have any questions about employment, is the right person to channel those questions to, and I believe he's going to respond to all the questions that you have today. I must make mention, people are really enjoying Labor Matters.
I'm glad to hear.
You're doing a good job.
No, thank you so much. You are also doing a great job, and thanks also to Rodwell behind the scenes, putting the strings. We are glad. I must mention, actually, there's a special request from some viewers. Mm-hmm. There are some people even saying we have been following this program religiously, mm-hmm. and now we know HR so much, mm-hmm. so now we deserve certificates.
Mr. Kabanda should start dishing out certificates now. People
said we are not authorized to give certificates, but I think we will be talking around.
We have been looking at performance
to these annual breaks. So when we talk about, let's talk about the construction sector. You have, for instance, an association for contractors, mm-hmm. that is the engineers. So that association, they enter into a collective agreement with the union. Mm-hmm. You have also a union that represents, the national union that represents, that's for the builders, engineering, and even the general workers. So the employers or the contractors that belong to this association, mm-hmm. they will subscribe to the provisions of that collective agreement with the unions, with this national union. So now it means that they will have to follow what is provided for in that agreement. And what normally we find in that agreement, again, you find that there will be, for instance, a provision that employees will be on this break for 14 days. And it will also inform you of even the payments that the employees will remain working will have to get in, the basic pays plus mm-hmm. another basic pay and so on. There is all provisions in there on what will happen to employees if they remain working. Mm-hmm. You also can have, apart from those kind of provisions in collective agreements, and that is just one example. If you're in the mines, you can have other agreements. If you're in agriculture, you can have other agreements. If you're in banking sector, you can have other agreements. So it's really about what agreement is there for a particular sector. We also have provisions that, or practices where these things are not in collective agreements, but you will find that a company has a policy, mm-hmm. and that policy allows employees to enjoy this break. Mm-hmm. So if that provision is there, or you have a provision in the conditions of service, or it is sitting in the contract. So you're talking of either collective agreement or conditions of service or contract. You then, as an employer, have to ensure that you make provision for the employees to go and rest based on those provisions in the collective agreement or contract or conditions of service. Mm-hmm. So those are the areas where you normally find these kind of things. But we also have to mention that there are companies where they don't have these things in writing. Okay, so what they do is like a practice. Management will discuss and they'll say, okay, we will allow our employees maybe 5 days off. So people make some form of a calendar. If you are 10 in the office, you say, oh, 5 of you guys will go the first phase of this break. The other 5 will then come and go the other time. So sometimes companies have such practices, but what we usually advise is that put a period of time. So you have to also look at how do we communicate with the clients or the customers so that they know that you're on break. Issues of security of the company during that period. You can't just run away. For instance, you have this machinery and then everybody just flies away. People are going to vandalize the machinery. So you cannot just do things haphazardly. You have to plan. You have to look at who is going to be around to make sure that certain things are still running. There's a lot of planning that actually goes into this. And on top of this planning, you also have to even look at what is it that we're going to do for the people who remain, because remember there are certain provisions in the contracts. What are we going to pay them? For the people who are going to be on leave, how are we going to treat their off days? So there is a big component of planning and now making sure that everybody who's going to remain, they know what they'll be doing. And somebody has to remain also supervising them. We've seen in circumstances where once the company closes, everybody's going. Even the people that were to remain, they're also going because there's nobody to supervise them. Or they go to sleep, or they go to drink. So you cannot take this industrial break lightly and just walk away. No, because then for you to come and repair the damage that would have happened just during this industrial break, you now start spending more. So there has to be some thought around planning.
Amazing. Yeah. To our viewers, if you have just joined us, please use the number which is right on the TV screen and get to send us your text messages. If you have any questions, comments, or contributions about our topic of discussion, feel free to also go on our Facebook page and drop us a comment. Now, Mr. Kabanda, you being a management and leadership advisor, please, I want us to understand certain things. There are serious disagreements that happen a lot between employees and employers when it comes to how employers should treat their employees' period absence during the industrial break. Yeah. Should the employer be deducting employees' leave days when it was not the employees who said they want to go on the break? Or should it be a forcing matter? Please make us understand, you being a leadership advisor.
This issue, when it comes to leave, now let's take step by step. Remember where we are coming from. And I know this issue around leave days of absence. Even someone was sending messages that we are not getting paid on industrial break. Again, it goes back to the policies. You need to have policies in place. The company has to sit down. If you don't have people to help you with policies, call experts to come and help craft the right policies for the company or conditions. So when it comes to how to treat the period of absence, there are two things that can happen. One, you don't deduct the leave days, or two, you deduct the leave days. And I will explain to you why. Let's look at, first of all, the implications of the leave days. To human resource before the time for going for this industrial break. They also have to make sure that all the records are accurate, so that when the human resource are working on those things, the documents will now help the human resource to compile the payroll inputs that then they give to the finance department. Again, the finance department has to make sure that they do everything possible to process the payments before the annual break. Why is that important? It's because first of all, there are some, depending on the payment cycle for the company. If you pay on the 30th, maybe you will have to wait until the 30th. But if people are going, you pay on the 30th, but people are going to be away on the 23rd, you then have to make a decision. depending on, again, on your payroll cycles, the payroll inputs that are required, companies sometimes make decisions and still pay up to the end of the month, depending, and then they will have the records. If the person, let's say the person has not even returned afterwards, there is a way that you treat and recover the money if you paid and the person never reported back. Those are different issues. But in normal cases, people get to be paid early. This allows the employees also to make a plan. Imagine you are going home, and some people are actually working in very far places. You are from Lusaka, but you are working in Eastern Province, or you are working in Western Province, or you are working in the mines, in the Copper Belt, or Northwestern, somewhere there, and you need to travel. So the company has given you this free time that you need to go and visit the family or do whatever personal things you want to do, yet you have no money. So you are now stuck. So this is again why we emphasize, please give people the money. Because the guys also start, look, in our practice over these 15 years, we've seen a lot of cases. You find sometimes people now starting to make gymnastics. If you have cement somewhere, it starts to get lost. Some tools from the workshops, they start getting lost because someone now is now thinking of raising money in very bad ways, which is an illegal thing. But those things start to happen. So pay the employees so that they can now sit down, make their own plans and budgets for their transport to go to their homes. Also make plans with regards to whatever they want to go and buy. Really, it is an important aspect to do, especially before the employees take leave. But as I said, it's important to look at what goes into this payroll, that production teams, or all those supervisors who are responsible for giving those time cards, they need to bring the time cards in good time so that then the payroll inputs can be made. And again, even as you are going to be paying those salaries early, the other thing we have to emphasize is also the aspect around, take a bit of time to even just educate the employees. Tell them this is the money, this is the salary. You are getting it a little bit early, because sometimes people also get too excited and they end up spoiling money because the money has come in a little bit early.
Now, Mr. Kabanda, you being an employment expert and a neuropsychologist, you know that these industrial breaks can be characterized by serious excitement, as you mentioned, excessive spendings, and sometimes problems by the time it is January. Problems do come when it is January. I mean, the following, in fact, it's just tomorrow. Yeah. So what advice can you give to employees in this regard, as many people go on industrial break?
Yes, so just as the employer had to emphasize the aspect of planning, that for this industrial break, you make sure that you plan for it, you look at when do we need to do what. For the employee, it is also the same issue. We advise our viewers, the employees, please sit down. When you know, because most of these, that's why they're annual breaks. They happen every year. So sit down and make a plan. Think about what is it that I'm going to be doing during this period. In advance, we have seen some people, for instance, when annual leave comes, annual break comes, people now go into the party mood. So when we're talking about planning, it means hard responsibly and really enjoy your life in a responsible manner.
Well explained, Mr. Kabanda. But the truth of the matter is when industrial break finishes, a lot of people, I don't know if I should say 98% of people, persons out there, always come back broke. That's it. Should the employer give salary advance in their loans when employees come back from being broke? They're broke, they want money from the industrial break. Should employers think of giving a salary advance or maybe loans? What's your take on this one?
Well, there are certain HR practitioners or employers who hold the belief that mukabwera ku industrial break and you have blown your money, my salary advance, and they make those things clear to employees. Well, what we would like to say is that, first of all, we'll go back to the policies, have already in place policies around your salary advances and loans in the company. So if you have a salary advance policy and a loan policy, if the employee comes back, again, the law says we as employers cannot determine how you use
spatial reporting date and not what they were communicated to. What should an employer do to employees who fail to return on work on the stipulated dates after the industrial breaks?
Yeah, so the aspect of coming back is really a big challenge. I'll tell you, like in construction, you give people time off. By the time you are resuming work, a number of staff, they are nowhere to be seen. So that's a common issue. But again, it goes back to your policies. You should make sure, this is why we emphasize this aspect of policies, make sure things are there, clearly stipulated. What will happen if you are not reporting at the time you're supposed to be reporting? First of all, before you even make drastic decisions as an employer, sometimes we say give you maybe a day or so as some form of lenience to those who have not just reported on that time. Apart from that, you could have even supervisors checking up on these employees. Sometimes you might be taking drastic action. Maybe the person even died or they are very sick. So it's also important just to have a heart to just check up on the employees. Again, you could have so many employees with you. When I was in construction, I was looking after 1,600 employees. Clearly, you will not manage to call 1,600 employees. You then have to do things through their supervisors to check if there's anything, and the human resource officers in that case. But if you check, then people are not even giving proper reasons, and you have also your own disciplinary code and the contracts. What you find in many companies, they will have a contract that will even give you, if you are nowhere to be seen, if you have not reported for work, let's say for 3 days, or for 5 days, or 10 days, the usual 10 days in many big companies. For some companies, it is maybe even 3 days. So if they have not seen you, then the charges will now come. Because now, at that point, you have not reported for work, which is contrary to the provisions of your own contract. And even the law allows the employers to summarily dismiss you. If you look at the Employment Code, Act number 3 of 2019, under section 50, subsection 1E, you will find that the law allows the employer to summarily dismiss you if you have not been reporting as required. So for the viewers out there, yes, have fun, drink your head off if you want to, but you have to remember that the following day if you have to report for work, you have to be sober with no beer in your blood, and you report for work. This one we have to emphasize. Even if you went to Dubai for your holidays with your loved ones, again, if you are told you should be at the workplace on the 2nd of January, you need to be at work. You cannot start now faking. What we see a lot is now even these fake sick notes. I know I'm sick, and she is just nursing hangovers. No, we have seen a lot of those things.
I believe our viewers have heard the celebrations that you have may end up to be, to turn into tears. So please, let's celebrate nicely and abide by the provisions of your contracts and rules of your company policies to return to work on time. On time, that's the word. Now, Mr. Kabanda, even as we speak about these policies, many companies do not have them. Let's make mention. How can experts like you help such businesses in this regard?
Yeah, so for many companies that don't have things in place, if you have a human resource practitioner there, they should start working on those kind of documents. And it's really a matter of looking at having either a proper condition of service, that document properly written, or looking at the contracts being properly written, or if you have collective agreements that you're working on, they have to also be properly written. On top of all those things, you need to have these policies and procedures. And actually, when you have policies and to make sure that certain issues around industrial breaks are very clear to the employees to avoid unnecessary problems. If you make things clear to employees, it becomes easy to manage the employees. And also the employees also take take interest. Ask your HR people what is provided and what's not provided. And once you are told also what is provided, ensure that you work within what has been provided and not creating your own rules. But over and above, we are hoping that businesses can run smoothly, because at the end of the day, we need these businesses to contribute to employees' well-being, but also to national development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabanda, for coming through.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us and the viewers out there.
I greatly appreciate it, and it's always
looking forward to next week Sunday. Another beautiful conversation.
We will be here.
To our viewers, this is all we had for you on this segment, and we hope you have found this interview insightful. And for those with questions, please do feel free to still text us, drop us those text messages using the number which is right on your TV screen, or you can also go on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV, and get to drop us those comments.